It's intense, it's sweaty, it's Texas.
God, it's hot.
But summers in Texas aren't just about heat. We've got storms,
trees down, roofs off,
and hurricanes too. This is your guide to surviving summers in Texas. Yes, the gates of hell have opened. Hi everybody, I'm WFAA Chief Meteorologist Pete Delkus. The gates of hell have opened and we are in the midst of summer in Texas. And today we're walking you through everything you need to know to survive these summer months. Over the next 30 minutes, we're providing you tips to keep you and your family cool. What you can do to keep your AC bills low. We'll also walk you through this year's hurricane season predictions. And the question Texans ask every summer, can our power grid handle the heat? Well, let's start things off with the forecast for the rest of the summer. Let's look at the month of July. Let's look at the month of August. And the average temperature during this time frame is about 84.5 degrees, so above normal temperatures for the remainder of the summer. And from a precip standpoint, for the rest of the summer, we're looking at below normal. So drier than normal and warmer than normal as we head through the next couple of months, which really isn't that unusual for this time of year. The other thing that we contend with this time of year, not only the heat, but it's the heat index. And for an explainer on that, here's WFAA's own Jobin Poniker.
Take a bottle and expose it to the elements.
It's going to start condensating quite rapidly.
Especially in a high heat index, we're not much different.
The problem is that the sweat doesn't evaporate as well.
We all know about heat and humidity, but what is heat index, aside from what the temperature feels like to the body?
Yeah, it's a pretty long equation.
The index is measured in the shade, not in the radiant heat or the sun, where it can be even hotter.
Sounds good.
Juan Hernandez is a meteorologist at the National Weather Service.
For the Dallas-Fort Worth area, right around the triple-digit mark.
In simple terms, temperature plus humidity equals that index.
When you combine both together, that's what leads our body to feel hotter.
Dr. Craig Crandall specializes in thermal physiology at UT Southwestern. He can tell how a high index affects our bodies.
The more water in the air, the less effective that sweat evaporates. And you need to have that sweat to evaporate to cool you down.
The concern becomes dehydration, heat cramps, heat exhaustion, stroke, which can lead to death. Sweating is our body's way of cooling down, but if that sweat doesn't evaporate, we're a lot like this bottle, exposed to the elements. In DFW, I'm Jobin Poniker.
Now I want to talk about heat, and not just heat, but heat in your car. So here we go. We'll bring the car into the studio. And when we have an air temperature outside of 97 degrees, the heat inside the car in less than 5 minutes, it's 108. Now watch the clock tick away, okay? 10 minutes inside the car, it's 117. In 20 minutes, that air temperature goes up to 127 degrees. Okay, and then in 30 minutes, it's 132 degrees. An air temperature outside of 97 degrees inside that car, in 40 minutes, it's 136. In 50 minutes, it's 139. You see why it's so deadly? In 1 hour, in 60 minutes, with an air temperature outside of 97 degrees, inside the car, it's 141 degrees. That's why you have to use a lot of caution. Please never leave a kid or a pet inside. And speaking of pets, your pets need extra care as well during the summer. Meteorologist Cassie Hyder explains.
When temperatures climb into the triple digits, pet owners need to take extra precautions to protect their furry friends. Well, both dogs and cats can suffer from heat stroke, dehydration, and even death if left in the heat for too long. They need constant access to fresh, cool water. Make sure water bowls outside are kept in the shade. Well, experts recommend not walking them during the hottest part of the day. You should just walk them early in the morning or later in the evening, and make sure to avoid the hot asphalt as it could potentially burn the pads of their feet. Well, one way to tell if a pavement is too hot is to put your hand on it for 7 seconds. If it's too hot for your hand, it's too hot for your dog's paws. Also, just like with young children, don't keep your pets in parked cars. Even with the windows cracked, the temperature can quickly rise above 100 degrees. If your pet has been out in the heat too long, watch for the signs of heat stroke.
If you're concerned about your pet experiencing heat distress, you may notice that one of the things that they do is they start to pant heavier than they normally would. But if you're noticing that the panting is becoming labored, maybe the pet is laying down on his or her side, not wanting to be active anymore. And in worst cases, sometimes they develop vomiting and diarrhea as relate to heat distress.
You should contact your veterinarian if you notice any of those symptoms. Cooling mats, fans, and frozen treats can also help dogs and cats beat the heat. Remember, if it's too hot for you, it's too hot for them. In Dallas, I'm Cassie Hyder.
A question a lot of Texans ask during the summer and winter is whether the state's power grid can handle the conditions. Our Teresa Woodard got some answers from ERCOT's CEO.
We're not always sweating in Texas. Sometimes we shiver. This state of extremes puts the power grid to extreme tests. But this season, ERCOT predicts a passing grade.
Well, I really feel that consumers should expect reliable, normal grid operations this summer.
Through the summers of 2022 and 2023, ERCOT issued multiple conservation requests. But in September of 23, they were 15 minutes from rolling blackouts as record-setting demand exceeded supply. In 2021, record-breaking cold paralyzed the grid. Millions lost power, and almost 250 Texans died.
Yeah, there's been so many changes on a variety of fronts.
Pablo Vegas gives most of the credit for a stabilized grid to state-mandated weatherization inspections at plants. But solar farms and battery storage facilities are helping. So will gas power plants being built through low-interest loans from the state. And Vegas says ERCOT is operating more conservatively.
We will hold more reserves in place on a typical day just in case there is something that changes in the forecast or in the performance of the renewables that we're seeing, or if it ends up being hotter or colder than we expected.
People and businesses just keep moving to Texas. So more ACs are being cranked, more devices being powered. And some planned high-consumption data centers aren't even online yet.
I think today the grid is as well prepared as it ever has been for extreme events. But we always have to keep thinking about the future and recognizing, like you pointed out, the growth that's happening in Texas is significant. And we have to make sure we keep focus on how do we make sure we have a market that's incentivizing the right growth of the right resources at all times.
Extreme growth, extreme weather, that's the future. It's even the present. But ERCOT says it is prepared because of the past. In Dallas, I'm Teresa Woodard.
Speaking of extreme weather, hurricanes are also something Texans deal with during the summer. And you might remember in 2024 when Hurricane Beryl hit the Texas Gulf, the Category 1 hurricane had winds up to 90 miles per hour, and it knocked out power to more than 2 million Texans. Meteorologist Jesse Huila has a look at what we can expect this season.
Let's take a look at the hurricane season for the Atlantic as we go through the rest of this year. So we are in the middle of hurricane season for the Atlantic, and the number of named storms that's currently in the forecast is 13 to 19. That would include all tropical storms and all hurricanes that form. And when we look at the average is 14. So we are expecting above normal a number of named storms, including tropical storms and hurricanes. Then we look at hurricanes alone. The forecast is 6 to 10. Compared to the average, which is 7, looks like the likelihood, and if you kind of look at where this 7 falls between 6 and 10, the likelihood is a little bit higher that we'll see an above normal number of hurricanes this season in the Atlantic, and that's why that 6 to 10 exists in the forecast. Then in terms of major hurricanes, which for a major hurricane is a Category 3 or higher, the current forecast is 3 to 5. The average is 3, so we're forecasting at least average, if not above average number of major hurricanes in the Atlantic Basin as we go through the rest of this hurricane season. Well, what is hurricane season? Let's talk about that. When we look at just hurricanes, we've put this on a graph for you so you can kind of visualize when it begins, when it peaks, and when it starts to wind down. Hurricane season begins late spring. The official start of hurricane season, June 1st. Okay, so there's a chance you see a hurricane or two early parts of the summer or late parts of the spring. But really, as the Atlantic waters start to warm up, the tropical storm numbers and hurricane numbers really start to jump by the time we get to the middle of summer, let's say August, and then it really spikes up by September because the waters have had months to heat up with the summer sun. So September 10th is the climatological peak of hurricane season. Now, while hurricanes do impact mainly the coast with very heavy rain, flooding, and damaging winds, parts of North Texas can see impacts from the remnants of hurricanes and tropical storms. The dangers we face in North Texas include flash flooding and some wind damage. Hurricanes can dump a huge amount of rain over large areas, even hundreds of miles inland, and the wind can be strong enough to uproot trees, damage roofs and fences, and knock out power.
We're keeping you cool and saving you money. Coming up, should you water your home's foundation? The experts weigh in. Plus, tips to keep your air conditioning bills down during the summer. And we'll show you the plants that won't only survive the Texas heat, they'll thrive in it.
I'm Daybreak meteorologist Greg Fields, and something a lot of new Texans don't know is that your home's foundation might need water, especially during the summer. When it gets hot, soil under your home can dry out, and that might cause your foundation to move, which can weaken the structure and cause damage. Signs of foundation movement include drywall cracks and your doors sticking shut. Tiffany Liu takes a closer look.
In North Texas, the summer months,
this is the 5th day in a row that we're at 100-degree temperatures,
are brutal not only on us, but on our homes too.
The clay will shrink back up.
Most houses in the DFW area are built on clay soil that moves.
Over seasons and seasons of doing this, the clay will, for lack of a better word, lose its elasticity, and then the house drops but doesn't come back.
So the cracks in your walls or doors jamming can be a seasonal problem turned serious.
The goal is to keep the house at a consistent level and not such violent swings of movement.
Tony Stokely is a certified structural technician with Brown Foundation Repair. He says homeowners can take preventative steps to help their foundation in the heat.
One of the most cost-effective do-it-yourself ways is to install a soaker hose.
The steps are simple, even for someone who isn't handy. First, buy a soaker hose.
You can buy most soaker hoses for around $20 or $30.
Then hook it up to your outdoor faucet and line it around the perimeter of your foundation.
Set that soaker hose about 12 to 18 inches away from the foundation.
For driveways or cement, Tony suggests cutting and plugging the soaker hose to prevent water waste. A splitter can be used to run the hose around the other side of the house to reach the whole perimeter. Then you just turn it on. He says daily, late at night, into the early morning hours are best.
Keep a small problem from becoming a big problem.
Quick and cost-effective. This was less than $50 to set up. But homeowners can choose to have sprinkler systems installed with misters or pipes underground. Some may already have it. Tony says a sprinkler company can check if you do.
We'll take this from this spot.
Even with maintenance.
Right about here.
Tony recommends having your foundation measured every year to see how much it moves over time.
All houses move. Not all houses necessarily fail.
It comes with the nature of the fluctuating weather in North Texas. I'm Tiffany Liu.
Well, thank you very much, Tiffany. And speaking of heat, you hear me talking about this every so often here in North Texas during the summer months. We talk about this big ridge of high pressure. There it is, the heat dome. So just what exactly is the heat dome? Well, I want you to think about this in the most literal sense, okay? Think of high pressure. High pressure is just sinking air. And as you look right here at the city of Dallas or the city of Fort Worth, we have high pressure creating sinking air over these areas. So as that air sinks, it compresses and it just causes that air to heat up. And when that air heats up, that sinking air, what it also does is it also limits cloud and thunderstorm development. So think of it this way. Again, in the most literal sense, you have this dome of high pressure that sits across a given area, a city, a region, a state, and when that big ridge of high pressure or that dome sits on top of that area, these factors, okay, these factors combined, they act like a dome and they just trap heat at the surface. There's just nowhere for it to go. And the heat isn't always good for our plants. It's definitely not always good for our water bill, but meteorologist Mario Ruiz has found some solutions.
First one of my favorites. This is Greg Smith's flower.
Planting native Texas plants.
This is a Millie Blue Sage, so this is a Texas favorite.
Doesn't just beautify yards, it's a smart way to save money by conserving water.
Lamacanthus. This is a great Texas sunproof plant.
Carla Horta, the owner of Nativo Gardens in Fort Worth, shared why native plants are such a great investment.
They're super drought tolerant. Another set and forget type of plant.
Not only do these plants handle droughts better than non-invasive species, but they also attract local wildlife, like bees and butterflies.
With planting native plants, one, you're benefiting the local ecosystem, so that you're supporting the local pollinators. You're feeding the independent bees that need the help.
In addition to reducing water usage, native plants often have multiple uses, making them a great choice for both families and the local ecosystem. The American Beauty Berry is an example.
Leaves natural mosquito repellents. It also comes with these natural berries, the perfect natural food source for birds.
The best tip, plant perennials in the fall. They'll become dormant during the winter, but the root system will continue to grow, establishing the plant before the harsh summer heat.
The plant is going to be a lot less stressed. The plant is going to be more resilient. You don't have to water it as much in the summer as you would something that you plant in April.
For Texans looking to reduce their water bills while maintaining a beautiful landscape, native plants offer a natural and sustainable solution that restores balance in more ways than one.
Up next, we're talking about heat islands. What is a heat island, and do you live in one? Plus, we've got money-saving tips to keep your AC bill down. This is your guide to summers in Texas. Well, welcome back, everyone. Right now I get to talk about one of my favorite topics because it kind of blows my mind when I look at these numbers, but it's critically important for us here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm talking about impervious surface area. That's right, impervious surface area. And since 1990, the impervious surface area, right here in DFW, has increased by 890 square miles. What's that impervious surface area? It's roads, it's roofs, it's parking lots. It's just concrete, and concrete absorbs heat from direct sunlight, stores it, and releases it more slowly than non-paved areas, okay? Kind of that heat island we talk about. So the heat is released well after sunset, creating an area that can be much warmer than surrounding rural areas. In addition to that, according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, the temperature difference between urban and rural areas, it can be significant. I think for those of us that look at these temperatures every day, we certainly notice that. The temperature of a city with 1 million or more people can be up to 5 degrees warmer during the day and up to 22 degrees warmer at night compared to rural areas. So remember, impervious surface area, it's really important. It's that heat island effect that we see here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and across large metropolitans across the United States each and every year. So during the summer, you probably have your AC on full blast. WFAA's Jason Wheeler has tips on how to save on your electricity bills.
Just know that as you're chilling inside, the Energy Information Administration estimates air conditioning accounts for 19% of the electricity used in the U.S. And here in Texas, it's more than that. By far, we use more juice to power the AC than any other state. We consume almost as much electricity for air conditioning as we do to power our water heaters, TVs, lights, and refrigerators combined. So some room for improvement there. Trane, which makes a lot of AC units, says if you set the thermostat 7 to 10 degrees higher when you're away, you could save 10% on electricity costs. I had resisted that because I didn't want to wait for it to cool down when I get home, but I've been trying it. It doesn't take that long to cool back down, and my bills have been noticeably lower. Now, Trane also confirms info I didn't want my wife to see, that yes, when you are home, you can realize up to a 3% savings in electricity costs for each degree that you nudge your thermostat higher than 72. So my thanks to Trane for reigniting that thermostat fight in my household.
For more money-saving tips this summer, head over to @JasonWheelerTV on Facebook Threads and Blue Sky and stay right on the money.
Be sure to stick with WFAA and WFAA Plus for all your weather updates. Stay cool and have a great summer.